Next. Your names? Welcome to Element City.
The more you watch Elemental, the more details you can notice in this fantastic film. Like, for example, the disguised appearance of one of Disney's most beloved animated characters. Do you remember Doug, the little dog from Up? Well, Peter Sohn always said he was in the movie, but very well hidden. Almost needing binoculars, it was possible to locate Doug near the water fountain with a different owner and completely covered in plants. One of the few pets that appear in the film. We've discovered many other secrets and Easter eggs in the Elemental movie, and we're going to tell you about them right now. Hearts. Elemental is definitely a romance film. Probably why the team plays some hearts, the most common sign of passion, in various places. For example, if you look closely, you'll see that Fern's nose, Wade's co-worker, is a rounded heart. Fern's clues. In Fern's workspace, we notice some cool things. One of them is a poster in the upper left corner of the office that says, "Root for yourself." This is ironic considering he's a die-hard Waveball fan, but it's clear he's a devoted supporter.
Looks like I'm going home early today.
Tire brand. Everyone knows that major brands love to advertise at sports events, just like the Super Bowl. For this reason, major brands in the Elemental world also have their sponsorships displayed in Waveball games. One of them is an adaptation of a real brand, Flagstone, which bears a striking resemblance to Firestone, one of the world's largest tire manufacturers. A clever play on words, too. Fire people in the stadium. Most of us thought Ember was the only fire person in Cyclone Stadium, just like I did. But watching the movie again, I noticed there were other fire people there too. Of course, they're the overwhelming minority, but they're definitely there.
Man, he's been in such a funk because his mom has been sick.
Ember makes a funny face. When Ember is chasing Wade to try to stop him from taking the report, we see a gust of air get hit, which only damages his jacket since he's made of air. But if you pause the scene, look at Ember's expression. It's pretty hilarious. Covering the eyes. In the same scene, we see an Earth person covering a child's eyes the moment the air person gets hit, as if he had become naked, but he was only wearing a jacket, so there was nothing below the waist anyway. It's the famous Disney paradox of Donald Duck, who only wears a shirt, but when he's without it, he blushes below.
Oh, my new jacket!
R10 or Rio. Everyone knows there's a car brand in the Elemental world that references Toyota, the Japanese vehicle manufacturer. We realized this when we saw Ember overtaking the vehicle in the movie. If you look closely, you'll see that the license plate is quite interesting. It reads R10, which is the nickname of one of the greatest Brazilian soccer players of all time, Ronaldinho. If you've watched soccer in the 2000s, you've surely seen some of his magical moves. But if you look quickly, instead of R10, you see the name Rio, which is the most famous tourist city in Brazil. It's the namesake of one of the animated films now owned by Disney, which is also the creator of Elemental. So there are 3 references in one detail here. In any case, I think there's a Brazilian fan on the Elemental team. Fire Country. In the beginning, we see Bernie and Cinder leaving their homeland to give Ember a better life while she was still in her mother's belly. And when we see this globe in Fern's room, we can see exactly where Fire Country is and how it's a giant island off the continent. The interesting detail is that on this same globe, we can see that in the world of Elemental, there's a North Pole and a South Pole, just like in our world. And Fire Country is very close to the South Pole, which is quite ironic, since the closer you get to one of the poles, the colder the country is. Don't believe me? Ask someone who lives in Sweden. Cinema. When Wade and Ember go to the movies, we see that other people are there too. A cool detail is that behind them is a pair of Earth people, and on one of their heads, there's a strawberry plant. And as everyone knows, strawberries are the fruit of love. After all, is there anything more romantic than eating strawberries with someone you like? Elevator. After the cinema, Wade takes Ember to the top of a building, and they use an elevator to get there. At that moment, some other people also enter the elevator. Among these people, 2 are Earth people, and they were previously at the cinema too. This guy in the red t-shirt and the little girl with glasses who is now with a water friend. Fountain. The same guy in the red t-shirt appears in the scene where they are at the fountain, but this time he's alone. And in the corner, we see the Earth person with the strawberry plant on their head again, talking to an air person. Approved. When Ember's parents arrive on the continent, they need to go through immigration. The Earth person attending to them is responsible for approving or disapproving their entry into the city. and he's very polite the whole time. If you pause the scene and look at his nose, you can see that it's stamped, and it reads approved backwards, which was already a hint of what he would do with Ember's parents. Approve their entry. Surname. Still talking about the immigration officer, we can see that his name is related to his nose, which is literally a piece of wood properly sawed. We can see on his badge that he's called CC Stump, which we can say is an extremely fitting name.
Next. Your names? Welcome to Element City.
Ralph's Cafe. At one point, we see a sign advertising a place called Ralph's Cafe. This sign is a tribute to Ralph Eggleston, the late Pixar animation director who won an Oscar for the Pixar short For the Birds. Moreover, he actively worked on several films in the Toy Story franchise and was practically a mentor to Elemental director Peter Sohn. Blue Flame. The Blue Flame is one of the most important things for Ember's family, passed down through generations, which is why she almost sacrifices herself. In fact, if it weren't for Wade, she wouldn't have made it. The funny thing is that almost no one noticed that there was a souvenir called Blue Flame in the family's convenience store.
Our Blue Flame hold all our traditions and give us strength to burn bright.
Ghibli. Wade took Ember to dinner with his family, and there we meet his brother's girlfriend named Ghibli, a tribute to the Japanese studio responsible for numerous successful films. But the irony lies in the tribute itself, as the name Ghibli means hot desert wind in Arabic and Italian, and the girl is of the water element. So there's a small ironic detail in this part of the film and the family dinner. Real artworks. Still talking about Wade's family dining room, we see that there are some art paintings on display. What's cool is that these paintings are actually real artworks that were reproduced to add authenticity to the film. Wade's nephews. Wade has two nephews who love playing in the water, and their names pay homage to the famous Italian explorer and adventurer Marco Polo, who was one of the first Westerners to document Asian culture in great detail, spending several years in China 700 years ago, when Eastern and Western cultures hardly knew each other. Cinema 2. When Wade and Ember are entering the cinema, we see a person buying a ticket at the counter. A water girl. By her green hairpin and clothing, we can tell it's the same person sitting behind Wade and Ember. Cinema 3. In the same scene, we can see that this same girl is accompanied by another water girl in pink clothes. And when the lights go out, Ember's flame stands out in the dark, bothering some people. One of the people bothered is the girl in pink, to the point that we can see her squeezing the popcorn with her hand, breaking it into 3 pieces and making an angry face. Dancing. Shortly after, we see her again in the fountain dance scene, hugging and dancing with a water guy in a yellow work vest. Maybe he's her boyfriend, but maybe he's also her father, since we see her holding hands. Holding hands with another different guy with a blue cap in the next scene, where Wade and Ember are by the Crystal Lake. Based on the character's clothing and design, we can see that it's the same person. Indeed, director Peter Sohn said that we would see some background stories of unknown characters being told throughout the film, as we saw the same girl in the cinema with a friend, maybe seeking love advice, then talking to her father about it in the fountain square, and finally, in a relationship with a guy. Very cool! These were the 23 Easter eggs and super cool details from Elemental that we've put together for you. If you enjoyed this video, you will definitely enjoy these 2 that I specially selected for you. Click on one of them and keep having fun.